Welcome back, Island Hoppers. Today we're coming to you from Florida. We're going to show you all around the Sunshine State, and also there will be timestamps below in the description. Let's go. First up, we're headed to Clearwater Beach out here on the Gulf of Mexico. This side is western Florida beaches. Clearwater is known for its emerald-colored waters. Also, visitors from northern climates tend to say the water feels great. So the temperature of the water is nice. The sand is silky white, and the coastline is full of resorts for you to stay at while you're enjoying the beach along the Pier 60. Now, it is about an hour away from Tampa and St. Pete. If you want to visit either one of those, they are very close. The best months to visit Clearwater are going to be from October, November, December. Temperatures are going to be a little bit cooler, and the good news is less humidity and tourists. Along with relaxing on the beach, you can expect to do several different tours that take you out into the Gulf, like dolphin watching, as well as a pirate ship, as you can see here, and also great seafood, lots of crab right here in one of the best towns for beaches in all of the country. Next up, we're headed to Orlando, the vacation capital of the United States. Around 60 million people visit Orlando every year. The top tourist attractions include Disney and their 5 parks, which include Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Epcot, Animal Kingdom, and the water park Typhoon Lagoon. Universal Studios includes Universal Studios, Universal Islands of Adventure, and Volcano Bay Water Park. You can also check out SeaWorld Orlando, where they have this restaurant and an aquarium, also the SeaWorld Shamu Show. 7 days in Orlando is perfect. Next up, we're heading up to the Florida Panhandle. This time we're in Destin. Known as the world's luckiest fishing village, they say the best time to visit is in the fall if you want to avoid crowds and get better prices. Also known as having some of the best beach sand in the world with this emerald-colored ocean water of the Gulf of Mexico. And living up to its name, it is recommended that you do some fishing out of this port if that's your thing. Destin is considered family-friendly with many restaurant selections, and for those of you who want to enjoy a good time on the boardwalk as an adult, that's also possible to do here. People like to also go out to Crab Island, and when it comes to accommodation, getting a hotel at one of these resorts along the beach here. You can also explore the sister city of Destin known as Fort Walton Beach, which is actually where the Destin Fort Walton Beach Airport is. 5 days in Destin is perfect. Now we're headed down to South Florida. This time we're in Miami. Aside from the obvious places like going to Miami South Beach, some of the other popular things to do in Miami include hanging out in downtown, going to Coral Gables, checking out the Wynwood Walls, Vizcaya Museum and Gardens, which is a beautiful garden on the bay there, Bayfront Park, Little Havana, Fairfield Tropical Botanical Garden. Sampling some of the Cuban cuisine that they have across the city, you will find so much good Cuban food here. You can easily get around on a hop-on, hop-off bus. There's also many canals that allow you to take a water taxi or even do a cruise of the bay, but really just cruising down South Beach in a car is awesome. Walking around also. So much to do down there. South Beach offers many different restaurants and salsa dancing with plenty of Hot Wheels and flashy cars. But like I said, Little Havana is one of the best places to hang out if you want to check out Calle Ocho. Downtown Miami includes the Brickell Avenue area, Biscayne Boulevard, as well as Bayfront Park, where they have the big Ferris wheel. And after exploring the Vizcaya Museum, you can head over to the Everglades and do a tour over there. But yes, Miami is certainly the premier destination in South Florida. But it's not the only one. This time we're headed down to the Florida Keys, all the way down to the end where they have Key West. Now in between you're going to have Key Largo, Isla Mirada Key, but Key West is really the hot spot. If you go all the way to the end of the western part of the Keys, you're going to have Duval Street right there on Key West, and that's where many parties take place. You can get some key lime pie, some tacos, and oysters. Lots of seafood down here, including conch. So if you haven't already tried that, definitely do that. But yes, you can see that Duval Street is where the parties happen. The Florida Keys are a Caribbean island chain, and Key West is certainly going to live up to that vibe of being a Caribbean island. Doing boat tours is popular out here, including going out to Dry Tortugas National Park. And in case I have not already mentioned, yes, seafood, including the oysters, very popular here. If you go down and party at night. The nightlife really gets ruckus right here in Duval. Now we're headed just north of Miami to Fort Lauderdale. Known for its beaches, art scene, events, culture, famous shopping, Los Olas Boulevard. They also have gondola rides around the canals, also water taxis. It is located about 30 miles north of Miami and about 209 miles from Orlando. And now we're headed north a bit to Palm Beach. This is also where West Palm Beach is. If you look on a map, you've got West Palm Beach, which is where the town is, and then you have the main Palm Beach, which is actually where the beach is. And they're simply separated by an intercoastal waterway. And here you can hang out at the world famous Worth Avenue, where they have the home of captains of industry. Palm Beach is considered an expensive destination, so keep that in mind as the average net worth here is quite high. They also have a nice waterway that you can walk around here along the waterfront. Really a very peaceful place to be, much calmer than Miami. Next up, we're headed to West Florida again. This time we're in Naples. Located along the Paradise Coast, this is considered the jewel of Southwest Florida. Now, it is also considered one of the best places to retire in the United States, and you can see why when you get here. Here in Naples, they also have these intercoastal waterways. You can take your boats and park right there at your home front or wherever you're living. They have soft white sand and abundance of beautiful beaches, really. It also sits at the edge of the Everglades. So if you go a little bit further southeast, you're right there in the Everglades, and then you would cross all the way towards Miami. And about 30 minutes away from Naples is Marco Island. This is a barrier island in the Gulf of Mexico as well. The interesting thing about getting to Marco Island and Naples is you can actually take a ferry boat from Key West to get here. If I was to pick between the beaches of Naples or Marco Island or Naples, I would have to go with Marco Island. I would say it's just a little bit more relaxing over here even, but Naples has more of that cosmopolitan feel. Next up, we're headed over to northeastern Florida. This is Jacksonville, also known as Jayville. There is a beach here, and then the downtown area is about 25 to 30 minutes away from the beach. So when you come here, you have to take into consideration Jacksonville Beach and then downtown Jacksonville. The whole metropolitan area of Jacksonville is considered the largest metro area in the country in terms of area. Now we're headed back across Florida again. This time we're headed to Tampa in the Tampa Bay metro area. It sits along a river tributary that they call the riverfront in downtown. And then when you want to go out at night or for some culture, you would go to a place like Ybor City, which is actually a Cuban-inspired old town. And this is a look at that downtown waterfront. Tampa is considered one of the top 3 best places to go in Florida. If I was to make a list here, I would say Miami, Orlando, and Tampa. But also you would have places like Key West. I'm just putting that out there because I'm sure you're thinking about all these options. Where's the best place to go? By the way, we've also put links in the description to the travel guides that we've done across Florida. So we've got one for Tampa, we've got one for all these other ones that we're doing. I just wanted to show you that below. And this food and drink you're looking at here is at the Columbia restaurant. It's a 117-year-old Spanish Cuban cuisine that's located right here in Ybor City in Tampa. There's also a Busch Gardens here in Tampa that I would recommend checking out. I would say 3 to 4 days in Tampa should be just enough. Now we're headed just a bit south of Tampa. This one is called Sarasota, a very cosmopolitan city. And here we are crossing the Sunshine Skyway Bridge coming in from St. Petersburg, which we will be showing you a little later on. But yes, we are approaching into Sarasota. You will see it is very modern and right here on an intercoastal waterway as well. And actually, if you go a little bit further, you would end up in a place called Siesta Key, which we will be showing you a little later on. But here we are walking along the waterfront. They do have that kissing sailor statue, and of course, some very nice beaches around Sarasota. This is a place you go to unwind and escape the hustle and bustle of the big cities like Miami or even Tampa. So don't expect much in terms of partying here, although they do have a nice street with bars and pubs. It's just not going to be that kind of party scene that you would get in other parts of Florida. So right here, it's very popular with retirees. You can also visit the Ringling Brothers Circus Museum, which is here. This here is a look at O'Leary's, which is a bar on the Sarasota Bay. Also check out Bird Key and St. Armand's, which is a nice place to hang out. Now we're on our way to Daytona Beach. This is actually one of the most famous beaches in the world, popular with tourists and race fans because this is where they actually do Daytona 500. The beach is interesting because the sand is very compact and you can actually drive along the beach here. So that's what people do when they're celebrating 4th of July or any sort of holiday. People cruise up and down this beach here. It has a vibrant and lively nightlife scene, but it's also very famous with bikers. So if you're a biker, you can check out when they have all the biker fest, and you'll go here and you'll see lots of bikers hanging out and interesting vibes when you're doing that. Now we're headed back across Florida again to St. Petersburg. This is in the Tampa Bay metro area. St. Petersburg has many beaches and parks. It's also known to be more affordable compared to other places in Florida, although that could be changing. Now, to the northwest of here, you have Clearwater, about 35 minutes away, and then about an hour away over the bridge in Tampa Bay is the city of Tampa. If I had to pick between Tampa, Clearwater, and St. Petersburg, I would take St. Petersburg. And that's because they also have St. Petersburg Beach, which is comparable to Clearwater. And also, if you were to compare the city of Tampa versus St. Petersburg, I would say Tampa feels more like an urban sprawl, whereas St. Petersburg has more of a dense inner city. Known as the Sunshine City, you can actually see right along the waterfront here. This side is actually facing the bay, and you can see out here people just walk around on this pier where there are restaurants and just a relaxing vibe to be had out here. Also, guys, I want to remind you that there are videos below in the description for specific destinations that you're seeing on this list. And also, if you're new here, you can subscribe to this channel. And thank you to all of those of you who liked the video. Now on our way to Siesta Key. Many of you might already know this because of a hit reality show that put this place on the map, but it is right next to Sarasota. So you could do Sarasota and Siesta Key in the same trip, even in the same day, really. It is a little bit smaller than Sarasota. It's an island community, and it's quite relaxed. So if you like hanging out at the beach, this is the perfect place to be. Hanging out at the beach, doing some shoreline fishing, doing some sunbathing, relaxing, going to get some seafood for lunch. That's the vibes out here. All right, back up to the Panhandle. Now we're at Panama City Beach. There is a main large area called Panama City, and then you go across the bay a bit, and then you're in Panama City Beach. Now, what makes this place so special is its silica white sand. The sand is very soft here, and the emerald water makes it friendly, gentle waves right here in the Gulf of Mexico. Also, it is known as one of the country's largest sport fishing fleets, so lots of fishing activity going on in and out of here. And as we walk up and down the beach here, you can see the emerald colored water, very flat, and people are enjoying the sunbathing on this beautiful beach. So Panama City really has to be one of the premier destinations in Florida, and it keeps going up in ranking. It's popular with college students on spring break. Also, families come out here for spring break. Another thing to keep in mind about staying out here, it's very easy to do 5 to 7 days and feel relaxed and recharge. Right down the road a bit is actually Pensacola, and they also have Pensacola Beach. They just redid the bridge, so it's a lot easier to get across the bay nowadays. But as you're noticing, these Florida cities, they all have these intercoastal waterways. Almost all of these cities you're noticing have something like that. That's what Florida is known for. And it's a very flat state with low elevation throughout. Actually, the highest elevation is in Lakeside, Florida at Brittle Hill. It's about 345 feet. Some people think Tallahassee is the highest elevation because it's the capital, but no, it's not. So Florida, very flat. Pensacola Beach, beautiful place to go. I would recommend Panama City and Pensacola if you can do both in the same trip. You can also squeeze in Destin. That's just how the Florida Panhandle is set up, and it's called the Emerald Coast, in case you were wondering. We have one more place coming up next, but I want to squeeze in some thoughts about Florida in general. I would say if you wanted to visit, you could categorize it by South Florida, Gulf Coast Florida from Tampa south, and then you have the Panhandle, and then you have Central Florida, which basically extends from Palm Beach up to Jacksonville. And last but not least, we have St. Augustine, which is actually the oldest city in North America. The Spaniards founded this place in the early 1500s. It's not the oldest in the Americas because that belongs to Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. But in terms of North America, this is pretty much the original settlement. And you can walk around here at the old fort. Now, that's going to conclude this episode of Island Hopper TV from Florida. We did make several travel guides about each one of these places, so do check the description below. And I will put a link to a recent video we did about Cancun and another one related to Florida.